What is the difference between knitting and crochet? To someone inexperienced with either hobby, knitting and crochet may seem like practically the same thing. Although they are similar to some extent, they still have their differences. Visual differences. This is a stockinette swatch. It is one of the most common knit stitches that can be found alongside the garter stitch. It's usually used for stuff like blankets, scarves, and sweaters. It can be identified by its V-like pattern on the front and bumps on the back. This is due to the alternating between the first knit stitch and the purl stitch while making it. Crochet, on the other hand, looks more like knots than V's. This is a single crochet swatch, and you're able to see the individual stitches more clearly. The single crochet is one of the many stitches that you can incorporate into your project. Tools. For knitting, you use knitting needles. You hold them in both hands and move the loops back and forth to create the fabric. There are machines out there that are able to knit for you, which is why knit items are more commonly found in stores than crochet. Crocheting requires a hook that you hold in one hand with the project and the yarn in the other. Crochet is unable to be done by a machine, so if you see something that is crocheted in a store, it's likely that it's just knitting that is made to look like crochet. Creating the fabric. Both knitting and crochet start off with slip knots. For knitting, you put the slip knot on one of your needles and cast on, like so. As mentioned earlier, when working, you move the loops back and forth between the needles to create the fabric. When finishing, you can't just pull the loops off the hook due to the fact that the project will fall apart. You have to bind off instead. For crochet, you put the slip knot on the hook and start to chain. You can work different stitches into this chain, and when you're finished, there's no need to bind off. You just cut off the yarn connected to the ball and pull the string completely through. This is due to the fact that, unlike knitting, you don't work directly onto the hook. Instead, because you start off with a chain and you work from the chain, there's no need for you to bind off.